Hey everybody. So last night when we were recording the Scott Cawthon segment, we had a lot of sound issues, and the problem is those issues didn't clear up. I had to keep fixing them on and on again. I think I've cleaned up the video enough to be understandable, and there's some places in there where I had to kind of splice some things together. Not great at it, so just be aware. But I think the overall sound quality and I think the overall narrative is still pretty solid. Just be aware of that, and probably be aware of the fact that we're going to have to talk about this again because other things have come out since then. Probably something important to look at. Also, I just wanted to make you aware of this. Stray Dryad with the incredible donation of $150. That puts us over our goal for 200. We now have put the camera on order for the channel. We now have a brand new 4K camera coming in. So holy shit, thank you so much, Stray Dryad, and thank you everyone who's been donating and who's been helping. And as you can see last night, we made our subscription goal. Holy shit, we're above 1,000, right? That number's actually off. I think that's actually like 1,005 now? Whatever. Anyway, enjoy the video. Hey everyone. So originally I was going to do a discussion segment on another dumbass thing the quartering said, but then something else happened that actually emotionally impacted me because God knows the quartering doesn't. It was this. So I don't know all of the specifics yet. What I understand, and this is all up for debate, is that Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, a series I genuinely really like, apparently not only voted for Trump, but the understanding is that apparently he donated, like, I think the quote was like $7,000. So we're just gonna go through here and
an animator who created the critically acclaimed horror survival video game Five Nights at Freddy's in 2014 has refused to apologize for his donations to conservative politicians, including former President Donald Trump. Scott Cawthon, 43, from Houston, Texas, trended on Twitter after people searched for the animator on public political contributions website Open Secrets and discovered that he had donated to Trump and Senate Minority Leader and veteran Republican Mitch McConnell. The records also revealed that Cawthon donated to Democratic Representative Tulsi Gabbard, who drew criticism in December 2020 for pushing a bill that would ban transgender girls from competing in women's sports.
So let's talk about this real quick. Oh yeah, I'm not wasting my voice on some of this shit. Oh, someone's playing Doki Doki Literature Club. The new one's coming out on the 30th. They're doing an update. So we'll play Doki Doki on stream and you could watch me be sad. This is really disappointing. This impacts me a lot. I'm a person who grew up, parents grow up with their kids too, and I grew up with my kid watching a lot of the Let's Plays involving Five Nights at Freddy's, and there was something really great about this series. Five Nights at Freddy's really touched me. The community around it, the lore. I still really like MatPat. I still really like game theory. I think MatPat and game theories are really fun to watch, even though MatPat has been problematic himself. But again, I try to separate things I enjoy from things that frustrate me. But this is a hard one, I'll admit. Now, I want to be really clear up front. The understanding is that there has been a lot of harassment levied at Scott and his family to the point where it seems to have caused some real issues. Let me be very clear, I don't condone any of that. I do not like anything insofar as anything involving harassment. This has always been true with all of the content we've ever created. I do not support woke scolds. I don't support this like purity culture bullshit, and I certainly don't support harassment of any kind. I would like to find a better way to handle situations like this. So we're going to be fumbling through here, but we do need to talk about this in a real format. So as I've said before, the personal is political. If you're a person of color, if you're a trans person, you are a gay person, you are whatnot, Your life is directly affected by politics. That is just a truth. My rights change based on who's in office. I want proof of that. You can look at all the rights and all the damages Trump did over his 4 years, and then look at all the ones that have been fixed by Biden. But the fact that Cawthon voted for him is really disappointing because voting for Trump votes for harm to the LGBT community. Now, whether he's aware of that or fully understands it's dependent. It depends on a lot of factors. And honestly, a lot of Trump's supporters are fairly ignorant to some of his deeper behaviors, not to mention the number of children he's assaulted. By the way, that's not like a thing I'm making up or speaking from hyperbole. You can find these court documents. Trump has hurt numerous different children and paid outwards of like $28 million plus. I say plus because one of the settlements was not released. I think it was. But like voting for Trump is voting for harm. And this sucks. This sucks. We can't ignore this. What is even more insane to me is the voting for Senate Minority Leader and veteran Republican Mitch McConnell. In some ways, I actually think Mitch McConnell's worse. As much as Trump was trying to usher in American fascism, Mitch McConnell is basically behind the entire downfall of the Republican Party. Their utter unwillingness to, in any way, shape, or form, or any kind of meaningful way, engage in actual real democracy. There are so many conflicts of interest if you look into Mitch McConnell's background with his wife and the like. This man is out for money. He is incredibly dangerous. Tulsi Gabbard, on the other hand, is a really fucked up one because they say here Democratic representative to give the appearance of like nonpartisanship, but no, Tulsi Gabbard's basically a libertarian. She hates wars because she doesn't think we should be spending money on them. She, if I remember correctly, not just put out that bill against trans girls, competing in sports, but also, like, if I remember correctly, doesn't she support Modi? Isn't it the name of the nationalist that runs in India? Like, she's actively a supporter of like the Hindu nationalist group. Like, this woman is basically just a libertarian who's good at feigning progressive support when it suits her. And let's be very clear. A number of people fell for this shit. It's actually one of the reasons, like, it's actually a thing for me to base people on is like, if you support Tulsi Gabbard, it means that you haven't done research. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you kind of backed the wrong horse there real bad. But let's move on. These people are not the bestest.
Cawthon's name and Five Nights at Freddy's trended on Twitter following the revelation, with some fans of the animator expressing their disappointment with his political leanings. Although he stayed publicly silent on the controversy for a number of days, Cawthon posted to the Five Nights at Freddy's Reddit on Saturday in a statement titled, "My Response," and maybe last post, where he confirmed that he has donated to Trump and claimed that people had threatened to come to his house after his address was posted online.
Yeah, so someone doxed him. And I'm going to make it very clear, I do not support this. This channel does not condone this. Neither Zena and I condone this. This is absolutely insane. I understand you're angry with him, and I understand Five Nights at Freddy's is a cult phenomenon, but you cannot act like this. Now, granted, it says here an animator came out and said this. I do think that that was important of them to do. I do think them whistleblowing on the fact that Scott Cawthon has donated to Republican and essentially libertarian people is a good thing to do. But the response, including doxing Scott Cawthon, is absolutely inappropriate, and I absolutely condemn it on every level. We'll be looking at what Scott says in full in a moment. I'd rather see it from his statements. So someone just said in chat that there are not, you're not getting any sound? My apologies. I'll read that to you. Following Cawthon's statement on Saturday, the hashtag #IStandByScott trended on Twitter as fans came to his defense and reiterated support for him. One user wrote, "Scott basically raised me during my childhood, and his games were one of the reasons I started drawing. The fact that people are threatening to dox him and kill him is just sad. Agreed. Another said, thank you, Scott Cawthon, for making everything possible after all these years. And Scott, if you're reading this, I do believe you are an amazing person and you inspire me and even some of my friends to make the most of the FNAF VHS content and more. So let's be very clear about this. Scott Cawthon is and has done a lot of good. He's donated a lot to charity. Scott has, to my knowledge, has supported content creators, including ones that have made fan games off his content rather than doing a Konami or whatnot and pulling all of his stuff in. He legitimately attempts to do good by people. I'm not sure why the voice to text didn't, or the text to voice didn't keep going. That's weird. I'll just read if I need to. But do you guys see why this is problematic? Is that not only is this a really good example of, again, this is a person who was a content creator who was making really, really good work that millions of people loved. And I don't agree with his politics. I think what he did was abhorrent. And I think his statements, which we'll listen to in a moment, about the community. All right, Miss Postmaster, see you later. They feel like they fall flat for me. Let's just chat. Let me bring you guys up to speed. Where is the one that I need? All right. So here's what Scott had to say. I'm going to do a quick sound check. You guys just tell me if you can't hear it.
My creator has made his possible last update on Reddit, or better mean is internet. The message isn't specifically directly at the Reddit community, is also just the community that he care about the most and where he choose to post these things. He never cared much for Twitter anyway. If you know the context, here's the message, he said. To say that the last few days have been surreal would be an understatement. I've debated greatly how best to address this, including not addressing it at all. But with so many people from the LGBT community in the fan base that I love, that's not an option. I'd like to think that the last 7 years would have given me the benefit of the doubt in regards to how I try to treat people, but there I was, trending on Twitter for being a homophobe, getting doxxed, with people threatening.
So I want to interrupt this for a second because I want to be very clear about something. There is a false equivocation here that is problematic. In the list of things being discussed here, there's a conflation between being called a homophobe and then the shit awful people did. Does everyone see that? Does everyone make everything make sense? The fact of the matter is that while we cannot in any way, shape, or form, hey, Christian Vargas, welcome. Like, this is where you can start seeing the right-leaning stuff peeking out. The fact is that, yeah, it's murder, arson, and jaywalking. Like, the thing is that no one is condoning the doxing or people threatening to come to his house. Like, that is insane. No one should do that. If you think that's okay, please get the fuck out of my community. But no, there's a question there about, are your actions homophobic when those actions lead to the demonstrable harm of trans people or gay people? And let's be super clear. The fact that Scott donated money to people who were, let's be super clear, the enemies of LGBT people. Mitch McConnell is a monster. Trump is a monster. I don't say those things lightly. If you don't believe me, I'll put in the link for this. All of the awful things Trump has done to the LGBT. This is just a simple fact. And so when we talk about this, we have to talk about it from the perspective of what does your action do? Now, we can say he voted for Trump because he likes family values or he believes in the notion of that somehow Trump is Christian. But the fact of the matter is that this either feels like ignorance or it feels like genuine, maybe not malice, but no, I lean towards neglect. It sounds like to me, Trump was the person you vote for, and this really sucks. Yeah, Akimbo, I feel bad for Scott too. I don't want Scott to get this stuff. I want Scott to make cool games and make a cool, fun story, but I also am going to hold him fucking accountable for the fact that he's supported somebody, two people as a matter of fact, who have done demonstrable harm to people like my family. Again, my rights change based on who's in office. Mitch McConnell has stopped the Equality Act and every other possible thing that could ever make people's lives better. Hell, the fucking infrastructure bill and all that, they're still fighting on. Yeah, no, I'm right with you.
Spent last night in fear because of what was being said online. She has already been struggling with her pregnancy, so seeing her so afraid really scared me. All this because I exercised my right, and my duty, as an American citizen, to vote for and support the candidates who I felt could best run the country, for everyone. And that's something that I won't apologize for. For those who took the time to look, you saw that the candidates I supported included men, women, white people, black people, Republicans, and Democrats. I supported Kimberly Klacik in Baltimore because I believed that she really cared for the African American community there and wanted to pull them out of poverty. I believed she could have really made a difference in a time when so many black communities were struggling. She lost, unfortunately. I supported Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, even though I disagreed with her on several issues, because I felt she would have been a good and fair president. And yes, I supported President Trump, because I felt he was the best man to fuel a strong economy and stand up to America's enemies abroad, of which there are many, even if there were candidates who had better things to say to.
So, are we kind of getting like where this is going? Like, I feel like Scott's statement here kind of misses the mark for me, because he's talking about this in a very general sense of I voted for who I thought was best and yada, yada, yada. And Maria in YouTube chat, you're right. I'm kind of sick of that. You did my American duty thing because it doesn't discount the negative things you've done. Like, are we clear on that, folks? Like, do we understand, like, this is something like, first off, the notion that Trump would do a strong economy is demonstrably untrue. But even let's assume for a moment that Scott doesn't understand economics, and that's a thing that, he thinks, then by definition, none of the other stuff he said there mattered. The actual partisanship of these people doesn't matter. Tulsi Gabbard is, again, a libertarian. Or if I want to be super clear, like just the Nosbel Vortex is a person. But the fact is that, like, even though he voted for somebody who he thought would be good for the black community, and good on him for that, that's great. The fact is that he still voted for people that were against the LGBT. While I absolutely think, like, supporting African Americans and other POC is a really good idea, this doesn't justify any of this. It feels like a ton of red herrings. Yeah, Trump, record unemployment, sacrifice the economy for the economy, blah, blah, blah. Not to mention, mishandling the greatest pandemic on the planet and literally, 600,000 people dying.
And bigger promises to make. I believed that their stances on other issues would have ended up doing much greater harm to those communities than good. All of this explanation, I fear, is wasted, as people don't want to discuss with one another anymore. They want endless apologies and submission. People who are expecting those from me will get neither. I've always been supportive of creators, and have tried to treat everyone fairly, and treat everyone with dignity and respect. I've never cared about anyone's race, religion, gender, or orientation. I just treat people as people, everyone the same, and because of that, I've ended up with a very diverse group of people that I've worked with over the years. It wasn't intentional, it just happened that way. I choose people who are best for the job, I treat everyone the same, and I ended up with people from all walks of life in my professional life and my personal life as well. That's the way it should be. That's the way I want it to be. That's the way I will continue to be. I'm a Republican. I'm a Christian. I'm pro-life. I believe in God. I also believe in equality, and in science, and in common sense. Despite what some may say, all of those things can go together. That's not an apology or promise to change. It's the way it's always been.
So we could go through the rest of this, but I feel like there's other things we've got to do tonight. But, like, let's be super clear. I'm a Republican, I'm a Christian, I'm pro-life, and I believe in God. I also believe in equality and in science and in common sense. Let's be really fucking clear. These are absolutely contradictory statements. They just are. If you believe in the Republican Party, you believe in the party of fascism. And you believe in the party of having no real economic goals, no real social goals, other than to shut down any kind of discussion about anything that goes against the business bottom line and their continuing propaganda to platform Trump. You're a Christian. That's great. That's your religion. That's fine. But that is irrelevant to this, because what you're saying there when you telegraph that is that you are saying that you're throwing the LGBT people that support you under the bus. There could be a religious element to that. You're choosing your faith over those people's human rights. That's a little rough, Scott. Not to joke. That's kind of rough. I'm pro-life. Gotta stop you right there. If you say you believe in science, then you understand how research works. You understand what having pro-life, what pro-life laws would do. You'd have back alley abortions and awful shit like this. The fact of the matter is that you can't say you're pro-life and mean it. Anyone that says they're pro-life is an idiot. Because the reality is that if you try to shut down abortions legally, all you do is push abortions underground, make them more dangerous, more harmful, and more damaging to women. But remember, pro-life people want to sit there and say, oh, no, babies, but they don't give a fuck about women. Yeah, pro-life people don't want to give use of universal health care. True, Ash, true. So, you say you believe in equality, but the Republican and the equality part do not line up. You may think they can work together. You may think that those are possible, but they demonstrably can't. Because you're supporting a party who legitimately wants to stop black people from voting, that puts in more and more voter suppression laws because they are against democracy. And who have given over what little tiny smidgen of a soul they had before, and granted it was very little, to platform a demagogue cult leader who they all roll their eyes at behind closed doors, and who they all talk shit about in the beginning of the fucking the election in 2016, but suddenly fucking fell in line. Right? Can we just be really honest? Didn't fucking Ted Cruz's wife got made fun of, and they said that he was a murderer or something, and that was okay? Ted Cruz just fell in line. Whatever. So yes, you cannot be a Republican and believe in equality. You are either virtue signaling or you do not understand who Republicans are. There's one of the two. And then to say you believe in science. Well, no. I mean, you may believe in the science you choose to believe in, but that's a very vague statement. What science? The science that validates trans people, that validates LGBT identities? Because the reality is that, let's be super clear, all the medical and psychological evidence we have over the last 40 years backs us. So if he's supporting that, then he understands, as a reasonable human being, that if he believes in equality, then you can't be this. Because taking away people's human rights is wrong, okay? This is the problem. These things don't work together. And lastly, common sense. I think Brittany said it earlier. No, common sense is a dog whistle. It's a really weird one. Common sense can mean anything. It's basically a fallacy of intuition. Oh, no. Quantamara, you're absolutely right. If you are conservative, you are allergic to introspection. Full stop. By the way, everyone thank Quantamara for the $50 donation they gave earlier in the week. I know we said it before, but please keep loving on them as a person. It's a weird class reduction that had left-leaning white Dems defending Republicans because they're just poor and uneducated. Yeah, rather than just recognizing that they're middle-class white people who are just racist. Anywho. My point with all this is really simple. I'm not going to go through the rest of this because I think, what does Scott say here? I'll just read it. If I get canceled, then I get canceled. I don't do this for the money anymore. I do it because I enjoy it. If people think I'm doing more harm than good now, then maybe it's better that I get canceled and retire. I would accept that. I've had a fulfilling career. Besides, most things that people can take from you are things you never had much value to begin with. Okay, that's a weird statement. I have always loved and will continue to love this community and this fan base, even if someday it doesn't include me anymore. Honestly, the wisest thing he said there was that last sentence. So here's my thought. Let's do some nuanced discussion. I believe that Scott Cawthon has done real good. And I think Scott Cawthon is a legitimately good person. As much as I can say anything essential. People are not good or evil. People are people. They make decisions. Their decisions have consequences or karma. Karma in the Buddhist sense, cause and effect, not some fucking tally system. And let's be super clear. This is not a great look. Scott's done good things. He built an amazing gaming world that is just fantastic and super interesting. Theories abound. But let's be really honest. I feel like this is really bad on his part because it means all of his telegraphed support of the LGBT community now rings hollow, even if it was meant. Like, I don't think Scott's ever going to watch this, but the fact is, Scott, if you do see this, what you've essentially done is made all the gold you've offered to the people around you Pyrrhic. It's fool's gold. It looks valuable, but it's not. It's empty. This is the problem with this type of virtue signaling towards groups, because what it inevitably does is if you're not willing to put up and shut up, then it doesn't actually lead anywhere. Nowhere positive, nowhere good. It just leads to eventually your inappropriate behavior standing out. And the problem is, we as leftists have to come into a place where, as leftists and, marginalized people, we need to be able to handle this effectively and maturely. Do I think Scott Cawthon is doing something shitty? Yeah, he can do it. No one's arguing that he could do it. But I think that if he believes that Trump would have done good for the economy, then fuck him. If he thinks that Trump doesn't hurt the LGBT community, fuck him. Yeah, Tova, I don't know what's going on. Play with your sounds. Or refresh the page. Fuck me. I got nothing. Is there anyone else having a sound problem? Apparently tonight is the night of sound problems. Need responses. Yeah, okay. Cool. So we're going to leave this here, but I just want to say that, like, again, I can't read that. Guys, if you're going to post giant things like that in the chat, you need to break it up, please. Because I won't read it. I just can't. It's too big. Yeah, Tiamat, that is way too big. No more than 200 words, please. Yeah, because it's too big. No more than 200 words on screen, because otherwise it gets real big. Actually, maybe even 100. We'll have to count that out sometime. Regardless, I'll look at this later. Actually, look at it now. Mother's Basement did a really good video on how difficult it is to interact with good property with a harmful creator, relating specifically to anime recovery. Ooh, yeah. Who's a vocal Nazi sympathist and Holocaust denier. Jeff said at one end of the video that he couldn't really give a conclusion to that kind of situation. Yeah, no, it's individual to everybody. I mean, I can show you real quick, Tiamat, silly goose. Like, you're arguing with me and it's literally my chat. Look. Tiamat, seriously. It literally went by everybody. We're trying to convince us it didn't happen. Silly goose. So the simple thing here is that I agree with that statement. There's no way to say one way or the other. The fact is that you guys have to make that decision for yourself. For me, but the fact of the matter is that you have to decide for yourself what the line is. For me, the line is going to be that I don't know if I'm going to interact with Scott Cawthon stuff going forward. I might. The stuff's gotten really esoteric and weird, so it'll probably depend on security breach. But yeah, we love you, Tiamat. I'm just teasing. You're wonderful and we love you and are a great part of the community. Never take anything I say to you guys seriously unless I actually say seriously. So, but with that, let's leave that there. Guys, if you like this stuff, please subscribe. I'm going to say that. Subscribe. We're really close to fucking 1,000. And the other thing is that please donate, right? This is something I do on my free time when I'm not working my full-time job. My partner is not able to work. So, because we both deal with migraines, I'm just functional enough to be able to, occasionally work. So, if you donate, it's really helpful. It keeps the stream going. It means we have more time for streaming. It does really create a cycle. So, if you want to donate, streamlabs.com/transgirltherapist/tip. Otherwise, I love you guys so freaking much. You're wonderful. You're amazing. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. We'll have to figure this one out as it goes. Bye.